Sunday morning to everybody. Welcome to Philly AM. Minus the M today. Mike's a little under the weather. Man's been working hard. One of the PennDOT guys you see out there helping you out, keeping the roads clean, all that fun stuff. Working a lot lately and kind of got hit with a bug today. So it is what it is. So you got Big Al solo this morning, but good Sunday morning, December 7th here. Creeping up on the Christmas holiday. I know I didn't see you guys last week. I was kind of under the weather last week. So, hopefully you all had a good Thanksgiving. So I really want to get to talk to you guys. We've got a lot to talk about. Believe it or not, there's a lot of sports to talk about here. The Eagles, are you on or off the train? Looking forward to here. We got Monday Night Football coming up against, it's probably the biggest game. This is a must-win game, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to break it to you. We'll break those parts down. And I want to talk Phillies. I know you're like, Al, you're a sick freak. Let the Phillies go for a little bit. Nope. Can't do it. Won't do it. Don't know how to do it. Could never do it. I was so angry with this team last offseason, this offseason. A little less this offseason than last offseason, but not much less. But I'm going to talk to you about it. I want to talk with you about it. I want to get down to it. I want to look at some stuff. I might say some things that you don't 100% agree with, or might irritate or aggravate the common thoughts of Phillies fans out there. So I want to welcome everybody in. So since I got no co-host today, it hasn't changed much, but I want to let you guys know you are my co-host today. So ask the questions. I'll try to answer them. Or you can come back at me and something, the craziness that I'll give you, whatever it is you want to do. We'll be interactive this Philly AM. Let's see. Adam, good morning, my friend. How's it going? It is going really well, especially that you're here, Ro. Everybody else, please feel free to join in. So let's talk Eagles. I want to talk about, I got my Eagles notes here. Let's just go down. Philadelphia Eagles, right? Really, man, that Chicago game. I don't really want to, I didn't want to bring it up. I really didn't want to. But this team, I've seen the team not look great this year. I've seen the offense sputter. I've seen the defense now sputter. I haven't seen special teams sputter. I've seen a lot of coaching issues. Let's not get into that. But usually like one or two, not all of it at one time. But that we always say that's a team win. That was a team loss. That looked like a team that completely woke up, just either thought that was going to happen, looked past their opponent, and looked past their problems and went into a game on a special Black Friday Amazon Prime game. And for those who went down and spent their hard-earned money on it, God bless you. God bless you. Like, seriously, like, there should be at times, I know, like, you don't pay for the outcome. They can't guarantee a win. They can't guarantee an outcome. But at one point, ownership's kind of go, our bad. We put on a crappy performance. Like, if you went to a play, and the play's normally good, but, in the play, say most of the play crew got sick, they had to put their seconds in or whatever, you can understand that. But if the play crew is the normal crew, but maybe they were out the night drinking before, got a little banged up, and now it's thrown up on the stage and missing their lines. At one point, there should be a refund. Just saying. Just saying, there should be something. If Philadelphia Eagles should do something for this city, but let alone anybody who spent their hard-earned money, their time, and sat in a very cold, windy weather on Black Friday. I mean, I would normally say it's got to be better than Black Friday shopping. I would rather be Black Friday shopping than at that game. But let's turn the page. So it's Monday night. Eagles Chargers, with Justin Herbert's dealing with an injury, kind of procedure done last week, but it's his non-throwing hand, so we'll see how that plays out. But does the Dallas Cowboys loss to Detroit on Thursday make us feel better? A little bit. Can't say it doesn't a little bit. Does help us from a standing standpoint, but standings are whatever. Standings are what they are. And I don't like going back to the 2023 season, but, standings helped us then, but all it did is help us get in the playoffs. And I never wish for Eagles loss in the playoffs until that day. But this team has to find. I don't think it's an identity thing. They just have to find this cohesion. I guess a good way to put it. There's some problems, internal problems. I think hopefully can be ironed out, but the time will tell. I think the Eagles did some Black Friday shopping before the Bears game. I don't know if they ever returned from it. I think like their phones were going off. Adam, go blick, 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 blick. All the money the wives were spending, and they kind of got a little distracted. I don't know what it is, but that team was not a team. There was no team that week. I mean, everything that could go wrong for the Eagles went wrong. And the funny part is they were in the game for the most part. Even though the defense was getting gashed for 281 rushing yards, they were still in the game for the most part until they weren't. And the wheels fell off and so on and so forth. But we're moving forward, right? So let's talk injuries because this is some of the big stuff. Jalen Carter, bilateral shoulder procedure. Now, I don't think it was surgery. Pretty sure it's not surgery. You don't do two surgeries, even clean outs and little minor procedures, unless there's like something that's they're nipping or something. I really don't think they're going to do two shoulder procedures in one day and during the season if they can get away with it without shutting them down. He probably had a PRP or a stem cell regenerative treatment. Hopefully get that done. I mean, it's not something that's going to fix you in a day or a week. Could take months. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of procedure, but he did. So he's out, which is a big loss. He hasn't and Jalen Carter hasn't played to the Jalen Carter standards that we put him up to this year. He's had some immaturity issues from the spitting at the beginning of the season and stuff we've seen last year. So that plays a bit of a role in it. But the big one, Lane Johnson. And, you know what your record is with and without Lane, and it's a big difference. And Lane is, I'll tell you it all we're into the trenches. I'm a lineman, always will be defending my lineman. But it's one of the most important, defensive line and offensive line. But offensive line, it's been a problem this year, which is usually the heart and soul of the team, even when the rest of the team maybe is flailing. The offensive line was always for sure there, but not recently. Morning, everyone from Tacoma, Washington. Mickey, good morning, bud. So wait, Tacoma, Washington. So you're what, 6:09 in the morning? God bless you, Mick. God bless you for putting up with. God bless for any of you putting up with me at 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning, let alone at 6 a.m. Do you think the Eagles should bring in a consultant? Who would you want to come in? I'm so wishy-washy on the consultant thing. If you need a consultant, you're one of two things you're telling me is you're not willing to fire the guy, but you believe he's not ready for the job. Maybe you gave it to him too early. Maybe he's in over his head, which I agree. I think Kevin Patullo is in over his head. Or you think he's just right there. He just needs a little guidance, maybe from an offensive play caller or somebody who's done it before. Look outside the box. Either way, not good reasons. In December 7th, I guess so. If it's going to help, I mean, Adam, it's no good answer for that one. If you ask me, if it's going to help, sure. Why the hell not? Who do I want? Well, somebody has experience. I don't know if I want to rehash. I mean, Frank Reich, I know is a name that people have been throwing around because he just got let go from a college team. So I don't know if he's ready if that's what he's needed. I know Dougie P has been a name that people have thrown around. I'll take anybody right now, to be honest with you. Kevin Patullo is just irking my soul. I said, can we blame the players? And we should blame the players a lot too, don't get me wrong. But there's got to be something. There's got to be something that they don't trust in Kevin Patullo, and they're trying to go rogue, and it's not working well. Whatever the reason is, it's not a good reason. So, sure. At this time, a change, a different set of eyeballs, anything would be an improvement. Anything. One roster move made. Marcus Epps has returned to practice for the first time since being IR'd. He's activated for the Chargers game, potentially in a starting role. And the other roster move is not so much a move, but the Vanilla Gorilla, Ty Robinson, is expected to have more play time, which I'm surprised he hasn't yet. What has been going on that Ty Robinson can't get in even to the rotation more often than he has. So I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse. I'm going to have to say worse, but time will tell. But it's been very lackluster vanilla. It's been vanilla from the Gorilla. And we'll see what happens. Like I said, the Thursday night football loss for the Eagles was big. Nick dropping them to the Cowboys is 6-6, and we stay at 8-4. But there's a big difference, and we're going to look at the NFL what's it called, a playoff picture. I'm going to actually have that up in a second here. And currently, because 8-4 is where a lot of people are at. Let's just look at the NFC for a second. We're at 8-4, leading our division, which is huge for us. I mean, the Seahawks and the Rams are leading their divisions at 9-3, so that puts us, and Bears, I'm sorry, at 9-3. But since we're leading our division, we're at 8-4. We're still in third place. Seahawks are in fifth place in their division because of the divisional set. Packers are 8-3-1, and the 49ers are 9-4. So outside the Buccaneers, technically in the playoff picture, we have the worst. Record. Lions are at 8-5 with their win over the Cowboys. Panthers are right behind them at the 9 spot, looking in at 7-6. Cowboys are behind them at 6-1. They have a current percentage of 8%. The Panthers are at a 20% clip, and the Lions are at a 54% clip. And the Eagles are still currently at 96%. This is your difference. Now, 96% you'll take, right? I'll take, sure, hell, why not, right? in sports, 96% is a good percent. If they win, they're at 99%. Can't ask much more for that in sports this day and age. Behind them, then the Cowboys is the Falcons, the Vikings, and the Commanders, and eliminated already from the playoffs. Cardinals, Saints, and Giants already all eliminated from the playoffs, including the Raiders and the Titans from the AFC standpoint. But from what looked like an wide open NFL playoff picture is no longer that. I mean, as long as you make the playoffs, I'm good in this case for the Eagles, but there's got to be a change. There has to be a change because if they make the playoffs at this rate, it's going to be 2023 altogether. And I didn't want to say that at all. And even when they were having ups and downs and there was a little similarities to it, like you still didn't want to bring that in. I don't know. It's just the way they're going. Their rush defense sucks. Just sucks. It's horrible. And they're just getting gashed. And teams are doing what the Eagles did to teams last year. Let's put that out there. Gashing them for 200 yards, 250 yards, and then throwing the ball when they wanted to, because they had to, and we'd light them up because the run game was looking good. Now everybody's spoon feeding us our own medicine, and it tastes like crap. It's not good. So, Vic Fangio has emphasized on the run game. Well, no duh, Vic. No duh. What are you supposed to say? We sucked. We got to work on it better. I mean, what are you supposed to say at that point? But it all starts from the top down. Speaking from the top down, let's look at the schedule. This is just the rest of today. Don't worry about the rest of it. Just look at Sunday here on the bottom. Of course, 9 a.m. right now. 10 a.m. you get the pregame for Steel City Sunday. For all you Pittsburgh fans, you get the Flyers post game against the Avs today. I'm going to talk a little Flyers with you today. And then the Steel City post game as well. So you got all that today. So buckle up. There's plenty to go with the It's a Wrap Sports lineup. And don't forget the rest of this upcoming week. No, guys, I'm going to make you feel bad today. I mean, Matty B's letting you down. There's no final word today. No final word. Or tomorrow. Because the Eagles play the Chargers tomorrow. That's why there's no final word. The Pittsburgh Sports tonight is at 7 o'clock, as well as on Tuesday, props, locks, and parlays with Mikey Laro, and the Flyers post game. Wednesday, another Pittsburgh Sports Desk, and the final word with Matty B. Thursday, it is a grind because you got Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. You got Gridiron Weekly. You have final word with Matty B and the Flyers and Knights post game. And on 9 o'clock on Friday, Philly Friday Frenzy. I've heard of this. All I know is the guy is really good. I heard he was really good looking, so that's a plus. So when you're staring on your screen, you're not just looking at some slob. And it's going to keep your Fridays exciting at 9 o'clock talking sports because, like, you didn't have enough all week long during the morning drive, during the afternoon, in the evening. So why not throw it Friday evening at you and just bring that energy? You guys are in for a treat from what I understand. And then you got another Flyers post game on Saturday, Eagles Raiders post game on Sunday, Flyers post game on Sunday, and of course Philly AM Sports. All you know and love. Check it out. Here's a picture of that handsome fella for your Philly Friday. It's a Philly Friday Frenzy. That's what I call it. Philly Friday Frenzy. Don't forget all the great shows. You got the final word with Matty B. You got the props, locks, and parlays with Mike Laro, and the post game shows as well. Kyle Quinn is on the Birds Blast, and the Philly Sports, the Steelers post game, pre and post game, Philly Sports tonight, or Pittsburgh Sports tonight, as well as the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, Gridiron Weekly, all that and so much more. Flyers post games. So check it out, guys. Thank you for joining me, and let's keep it rolling. So 8-4 Eagles, 8-4 Chargers. So this is where you're like, you're talking playoffs, which we should be in December. You're like, percentages seem good. And if the Eagles lose, you go, all right, so right now we're sitting at 96% where we're at. If we lose, we're at 92%. It's because our division's weak. All right, one of our teams is already eliminated. The other team is about to be eliminated. They have a less than 1% chance of anything at this point. So 2 teams out of the 4 are going to be eliminated. The only team is at 6-1. So outside of an epic collapse, that's what bodes well for us. But I don't want to limp in and get manhandled either. I want to run. I want a playoff run. All of us had to sit there last year and prayed. Maybe that after the beating, after the NFC Championship game, the beatdown there, you had to play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs again. And we all sat there and we prayed for all of us holy people on a Sunday morning, praying, going, please God, just whatever. I'll deal with a bad season next year as long as the Eagles can win the Super Bowl. We might be getting we might have got our prayers answered, and the checks due, if you know what I mean, because it just feels so disjointed. Is a good way to put this team. They're disjointed. The cohesion isn't there, as we know. And listen, I'm not in the locker room, but just the feelings that is put out there. A lot of it's a little bit of the social media tarnish, the major media markets who are out there just trying to get clicks and views, and they use it to their advantage. But I thought the NFC was going to be a very strong side of it this year, of the playoffs. But I mean, Pats are 11-2. Broncos win today, they'll be 11-2, and I think the Pats are on a bye, so if they win today, they'll be tied with them. So that's like I said, the Chargers are right now 61% chance currently of making the playoffs. They are in the 5th spot, so the first wild card spot. If they lose, they're 50% chance. If they win, they make a 75% chance. So you go from 61 to 75% chance. Tell me who has more to fight for. Those Chargers want to go to the playoffs. We all know what's going to happen. I'm sorry. I'm not a Justin Herbert fan, and it's nothing against him personally. I think he's a fraud. I think he's one of those guys who got anointed quickly and has great talent. Don't get me wrong, but just shrinks. Like for all the stuff we've complained about lately, usually Jalen Hurts, you know, just flies during those tight, cold moments, right? Justin Herbert's the opposite. Goes into a game, goes put some big numbers up against the Raiders or some lower team, limp their way into a playoff, and then boom, lose to the worst team in the playoffs. It's just that's what they are. It's who they do. It's what they do. And Justin Herbert's been at the helm the whole time. So I never understood the Justin Herbert love. People put him like their top 5 quarterback. How you do that is beyond me. Don't tell me they didn't have this, he didn't have that. He's had some great weapons around him. Not a fan. I think I'm not saying he's not good, and I wouldn't like him as a quarterback. It's just I think he's been overblown and overinflated is a good word in the sense since he was drafted and has done nothing to show me in any big moment he could do anything. But like I said, they're 8-4, we're 8-4. In their league, 8-4 doesn't help you. And especially in their what's their division? Who's their division leader right now? Broncos. So yeah, got the Broncos, and just so you know, the Chiefs are 10 spot. They're behind the Texans and the Steelers right now for the playoffs. The Chiefs have a 35% chance right now of making the playoffs. If they win today against Houston, this is a big one for them in Houston. Houston's in the bubble looking in. They're the 8th spot right now. If they win, they're an 85% chance of making the playoffs. They're at 62% right now. The Chiefs are at 35, and they win, they go 49%. If they lose today, Chiefs fall at a 12% chance of making the playoffs. What a parity year for the NFL. What a parity year. We have to get pressure on Herbert since he will have the cast on his non-throwing arm. Cast or no cast? Listen, Adam, it's one of the most cliche things to say. If you get to the quarterback. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tom Brady, if you're playing against the great Tom Brady, what did they say? If you can put pressure on Tom Brady, he'll make mistakes. Absolutely. If you have time to sit there and throw in the pocket and there's no pressure on you and you can look around and scan it and you got the wide receivers to get open, he can hit you. But if you put pressure on any quarterback, you have no time. You got to rush your throws. You got to rush, letting the play develop. Yeah, absolutely. And listen, you don't think that's going to play mentally? I don't know if Justin Herbert can mentally handle having that on his arm. I don't know if he plays. I think he does because of what I just explained to you. They are 8-4. Okay, if they lose today, they drop from a 70. They drop from a 61. Or I'm sorry, they drop. They're either going to be a 75% chance or a 50% chance. That's a big swing. Ours is not as big as a swing. So who has more to play for, Adam? And it's them. So they're going to have to. So yeah, it was a fractured bone in the left hand, the non-throwing hand, against the Raiders. He underwent a procedure on Monday, December 1st, stabilizing the fracture with inserting a plate and a few screws. Okay, so he had a procedure done. It wasn't just like, oh, I fractured, I'm going to cast it and be done with it. He's been limited participant practice all week long, which is whatever. And he's still questionable as last time I checked for Monday. Both Herbert and the Chargers have expressed optimism, is the term that they use, that he will be able to play. Of course. They're all happy-go-lucky. He was able to throw a couple passes with a broken wrist. So I don't know how much it's going to affect him in his normal play. Maybe the cast affects him a little bit more mentally than anything. But apparently they've been having him out of shotgun formation, pistol formations, pretty much keeping them from under center is what I've been reading up on during practice this week. They're avoiding to keep him under center because I guess if they get the pressure on him, they don't want to fall back on his hand. Any pain to that hand could cause, mental instability on top of physical instability. Trey Lance would start if Justin Herbert does not, and I guess the Eagles have to prepare for both. I'll let you guys contemplate what you think your Eagles predictions are. It's like I kind of want to predict a win, but they've given me no reason to in the last few weeks. I mean, Chicago's a better team than in some ways. Playing with some jam, as they like to call it. But they are also they have they have a quarterback who's still learning, and they have a wide or an okay wide receiver core, nothing great. They just really were the more physical team on Black Friday, and it showed that this Eagles team was not, which was their identity. It is, I don't want to call it the Super Bowl hangover, but is it just from not being able to lick their wounds? A lot of the injuries have played factors in this Eagles season, but that can't be the only thing. There's just something that I don't know if it's Kevin Petullo's play calling. I really don't know. But I want to switch gears. I want to talk Phillies with you guys for a little bit. I'm really going to try to touch on what's it called? Damn it. The Flyers and Sixers. I don't know why I just blanked out on that. I want to touch on the Flyers and Sixers a little bit. Been making some interest. I've been watching some Sixers games, which I said I wasn't going to do, but I'm kind of taking them one game at a time, enjoying it for the natural play of basketball at the time. But so let's talk about some of the key facts, key rumors, key talking points, key news, whatever you want to talk for the Phillies for this last week. And of course, tomorrow starts the winter meetings, which is where all the shaking and baking of the offseason for baseball begins. Two of the big Phillies names in my eyes right now, if they're going to re-sign, are either Kyle Schwarber or JT Realmuto. We're going to touch on that. And, of course, Ranger Suarez, but I kind of just sold him off. I don't see it being Ranger. I just don't. And we'll talk about that for a few. But the Phillies seem to be in a lot of the names of trade rumors, picking up, even Japanese pitching options. A lot. There's a lot of stuff going on that the Phillies are tagged on, and we're going to talk about some of those people, some of those rumors. Let's talk about Schwarber and Muto. Apparently, of course, they are interested in coming back for Philly. Why wouldn't they be? I mean, unless JT just wants to go to a more, maybe unless he sees something with his team, he goes, I'm getting older. I want to take my talents and get paid more somewhere else with a team I feel is more ready to win than the Phillies are currently. But I'd have to imagine that him and Kyle are very set in their ways here. Their families are here. They've made their hay here by this point. For them to make their bank and stay in Philly, it's a win-win. They get to win. So, but apparently both players, both sides show interest in Phillies having them stay and them staying in Philly. But apparently, especially with Schwarber, they were no closer to a deal as of lately. Apparently, it's the years that are playing a factor in this decision making. And I'm hearing Kyle Schwarber wants 5 years. I think he's 32 now. Maybe he'll be 33 by the season starts. So he'll be 38 years old-ish by the time we roll down to that. So that plays a factor into it. And I love Kyle. I love Kyle. What he brings to the locker room, what he brings in Pop, all that stuff. But there is some negatives to Kyle. And the big two negatives, my big negative lately is that he's had some great seasons, but his postseasons have been not great. Marte, Tucker, or Bellinger? All good questions. We're going to talk about that. Give me 1 second. We're gonna walk into that, Adam. I'm gonna help answer those questions and bring them on. But Kyle Schwarber for 5 years, can he sustain? If you're telling me Kyle Schwarber's a piece missing to win in the next year or two, then I take him on for the 5 years. But you got guys who are locked in for some time, and I keep bringing this up. You got Bryce Harper, you got Trey Turner, you got Aaron Nola. A couple more years, hopefully. Or not a couple more years. 4 or 5 more years of him. We have some pitching question to answer. If you lose Ranger, who do you plug in there to play? Is Andrew Painter going to live up to the hype? There's a lot of different there's a lot of different scenarios for the Phillies to work out right now, and there's no right or wrong answer at this point. And don't forget Zach Wheeler. I mean, is he going to? We know he's not going to be here to start the season. So let's say June, July, right? All-Star break, whatever you want to look at. Can they hold off until then? And will he come back the same guy? Because if he is not 100%, he's already talked about wanting to retire in the next couple of years. Does this accelerate that? So that plays a factor into it. But Kyle Schwarber, that's one of the negatives against him, is the years he wants, and can he continue what he does? If he could, I know there's no guarantee in anything, but especially in sports. But if there was a little bit more of a guarantee, or we know even if he went on a decline, but he's also clogged up the DH spot, which I think has been a bit of an issue for in some ways, not giving other guys enough chance to take a day off occasionally, especially with guys like Bryce Harper aging and all that stuff. If you put him in the outfield, he's definitely a problem out in the outfield. One game here and there is not the end of the world, but if he was playing on a consistent basis, it would be. So that's it. And if you said, Al, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Ranger Suarez, who you sign? It's JT. Without blinking an eye. It's more affordable. We're not going to have to keep him on for 5 more years. I'm thinking 2-3 years tops. His price point isn't going to be ridiculous. He's not going to, he's going to command money, but not, Kyle Schwarber money, not whatever apparently Ranger Suarez is looking at. I don't know if Ranger gets it. That's also another question. Does Ranger get the money that he is, looking to get? And from what I'm understanding, that's not happening as much as we thought. So interested teams in Kyle Schwarber. I want to go through this with you. Of course, the Phillies. Absolutely. Red Sox, Reds, Cubs have been mentioned. Blue Jays have been mentioned. Orioles have been mentioned. I think the Pirates thing, I heard that too. I think that's all smokescreen. But the Mets are the new rising team. So right now the top 3 are the Mets, the Sox, the Red Sox, and the Reds. So you got the Reds and the Red Sox and the Mets. Do I want to go to any team? No. If I had my druthers and he's not coming to Philly, I'd send him to Boston, keep him out of the NL. But I do not want to see him in a Mets uniform. That's one of the key things I'm worried about. I do not want to see him go into the Mets uniform. Because I'm not even just like I'm afraid of him. It just tarnishes him. Just tarnishes the legacy a little bit. But they have the team that's willing to pay. They're aggressive. We've already seen them in discussion this postseason, off-season, whatever you want to call it. That would suck. I'm just going to throw it out there. That would make the loss. That's where the loss of Kyle Schwarber would burn me most of all if he went to the Mets. Reds, fine. I'm okay with. Red Sox, sure, why not? It doesn't really affect us much until in the postseason. But Kyle Schwarber's postseason numbers and his age and his command of what he's asking for kind of throws me for a loop, and I might be upsetting others by saying this. I'm okay if we lose him to a point. I'm not saying I want to, but I'm okay. We're going to talk about that. Why? You know what? No, we're going to talk about it right now. Adam, where you at? Let's see. You asked Tucker, Marte, Tucker, or Bellinger. Let's talk about Cody Bellinger for a second. Just want to bring this up. Overall, for the last, I think it's 2023 to last year. So 2023, 2024, 2025. Cody Bellinger's beat Colin War 12 to 8.8. Now, games played, Cody had some injuries. He played 412 to Kyle's 472. And he had 1,781 plate appearances compared to Kyle's 2,136. But remember, Cody also plays the field, so that's a big thing here. But Cody, even though had less plate appearances and games played, has 450 hits compared to Kyle's 402 hits. But where the big numbers start to swing in this case is the home runs and RBIs. So he had Kyle had 141 RBIs to Cody's 73 RBIs. Or home runs, I'm sorry. And RBIs, Kyle had 340 to Cody Bellinger's 273. But also, here's another negative against Kyle. He is a problem. First part, number one, if he's going to play and he's in a leadoff top two, I don't know if I want him. If he can't play hitting the 4-hole, I don't know if I want him. That has to change. That philosophy has to change. I'm sorry that the stats this, that, numbers this, analytics that, show this, that, and the other. The man's a power hitter. Let him power hit. Okay? Put him in the power hitting spot at the 4-hole. Sorry. Just it's got to stop. But he's 42 stolen bases compared to Kyle's 15, which I'm sure some of them are just like giving up. And the batting average. Cody's a 281 to Kyle's 228. Now, this is over the last 3 years. I know we had a better one last year. OBP, Kyle has a 358 to Cody's 338. Slugging, Kyle's 508 to Cody's 477. OPS to 866 for Kyle to 815 for Cody. And OPS plus 135 to Kyle to 125 to Cody. So, what does that all mean? What am I trying to prove here? Is getting Cody a better option? Maybe, dude. My heart saying Kyle, but my analytical brain and wanting to make changes in this team, in this philosophy as a team, I gotta lean towards Cody. Cody's three. Let's start with this. 3 years younger. So if they're both going to command the years, I'm guessing Cody's going to command a little less money, maybe not by much. So let's say all in all, numbers and years are the same, right? Just for conversation purposes. 5 years, $35 million a year, whatever. Doesn't matter at this point. 3 years difference in 5 years, 38. 5 years, 35. There's a big difference there. There's a big difference there. So that right there with the years, that plays a factor. He can play center field. He probably can play any part of the outfield, let's be honest. But he can play center field. So depends on certain people are ready or not to come up. Depends on what they do and sign back anybody. If they run with Brandon Marsh, all those kind of things. But he can play the outfield. He won't clog up the center. He won't clog up center field or clog up the DH. Which allows guys like maybe JT who'll need an extra day off or two to continue to bat, but also take a day off his knees. Let Rafael Marchand take over for a little bit. Give Price time off now and then. Cody's more the guy that I'm looking to get. Not all power, but we'll spray the ball around the field. We'll make contact, get on the base, become a base stealing threat. I think that's where the change is. I think that's where the change needs to be, and that's why it's got to be a philosophy. We got a lot of power hitters. Got Bryce Harper, he can power hit. I mean, right now I got Nick Castellanos, which I don't think we will, but we do currently, and we're trying to get away from that. So, but since you're getting away from Nick and you're getting away from other guys, maybe you need that power hitter. It's kind of a scenario. I don't have a great answer. There's no good answer. And only time would tell. Like, if we do this and Cody turns out to be what we need to get us over the top and Kyle goes on just to put up some numbers but never really goes anywhere, then we were correct. But if Kyle turns out to continue to be what Kyle is and Cody's just, then we were wrong. That's the beauty of sports, ladies and gentlemen. It's the beauty of sports. But my mind, my brain, my baseball brain is telling me go to Cody. Go with Cody. 3 years is the big difference there. 3 years in the DH spot. That's a big difference. I mean, Kyle's just going to clog up the DH spot. You got guys who are getting older again. Trey Turner's getting older. You got Bryce Harper getting older. JT's older, and you want to keep him and move forward. These are all guys where that DH spot is becoming more and more important, which we went through all these years not worrying about DH my whole life. I remember when the DH spot was going universal. And I'm like, I see Nooms just popped up and put his note up on the screen here. And I agree with him. There is no single fix for the Phils. But Nooms, one day, Nooms, I'm going to have you on as a co-host because I want to talk with you. You're very insightful. And you went maybe on if you're ever available for a Friday Night Frenzy, I would love to have you on as a host, at least for a short time. If you want to come on for 15, 20 minutes, whatever, a guest. But there's no one single fix for the Phillies. And I agree with you. 100% agree with you. But if you're looking to change the way this team plays, having guys like who are not all just power hitters, who can hit for power, which Cody can, but change the philosophy of the team, would be moving on from Kyle Schwarber for Cody Bellinger. Again, guy can play the field. He's not going to clog up the DH spot. He's 3 years younger. He can run on the base paths, and he makes contact. Is Cody a better option? And I kind of have to think he is. And I hate saying that. I feel like I'm talking bad about my best bud here. Me and Kyle go way back. Listen, I got to give Kyle a little credit. My first time in the locker room 5 years ago, or 5 years, 3 years ago, with the Phillies, maybe more, 4, I don't know. Kyle was one of the first guys to actually just come and talk to me and not just roll his eyes at me and gave me time. So I that means a lot to me because in that world, cutthroat. So I want him to stay. I really do. We got to keep him and Cody. Great, impossible, never going to happen. Without not doing anything else on the team. But if you want to make changes, Nooms, if you want to make changes for this Phillies team, if you want to change the philosophy of the more spray the ball around the field and hit it over the fence, Cody's the guy. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just thinking I'm still a little burnt from it. But Nooms, tell me how you feel about it. Hey Al, I'm hearing the Reds are interested in Remuto. Thoughts on that one? I've heard that too, Dave. I've heard it too. Who wouldn't be? I mean, to be honest with you, JT, it's got to be one. From catching trade interest, it's got to be the top one out there. We know what he's capable of just from a catching standpoint. Defensively, he's still got it. And from calling a game, and if you have a young core group that you're trying to build up, who wouldn't want a guy like JT Remuto behind the plate? So I'm not surprised. I think people thought it was going to be easy to re-sign JT. I think it's going to be one of the harder ones, believe it or not. I mean, you're not going to get the same kind of money that Kyle's going to command and the years and all that. But JT still got a lot of gas in the tank, and I think he does under. People look at that wrong. Um, but yeah, why wouldn't they, Dave? Why wouldn't they? Only fix is become the running Redbirds. The running Redbirds, huh? But that's my probably not going to fly with others take on the Kyle Schwarber at this standpoint. And trust me, you. If Kyle gets re-signed, I'm going to be happy because I like Kyle. So let's look at some other trade rumors that the Phillies have been kind of attached to. Now, this one's no shock. Luis Roberts Jr., outfielder, right-handed hitter, which is important, and Gold Glove defense. Just has struggled recently. Can they get him for a song in a trade where it's not too overly expensive? That's always, could he help bolster this outfield? I don't know. Jaron Duran, he's left-handed outfielder. He's got speed, solid performer, and he's under control for a few seasons with the Red Sox. So that if they can make a trade, gives you a little leeway. Now, there's a name that I kind of was pounding the desk for a few years, and it'll come into play a little bit. And this definitely could look good if you don't re-sign Kyle. Even the running Redbirds had Jack Clark, have 6 starters and that can steal 50. Yeah. No, I mean that's a big point. And with JT, that makes an even better point. Thank you. A good point. But Randy Arozarena, who's with the Mariners right now, the Mariners have been apparently looking at Matt Strahm. And the Phillies are willing to discuss with people on him and a few other people, with teams and a few other teams about him, Jose Alvarado, and Tanner Banks, if it's worth it. I don't think they just want to get rid of them for nothing, but if it's worth it. But Randy Arozarena is a guy I really liked for the Phillies. Mariners picked him up, not last trade deadline, but the trade deadline before, I think, right? Pretty sure it was 2 trade deadlines ago. Right-handed power bat, another right-handed. He is a guy that I think he can play left field. I think you can maybe package what's his face? Brandon Marsh into it. Or you leave Brandon Marsh as a bench guy. It all depends if he can take that position or not. Left-handed pitchers have more value unless they just blow. Absolutely. That is absolutely a true fact. And that's why the Phillies would be willing to look, because they have 3 to choose from. And so to make a change, and I kind of like that that thought's out there, Nooms, to be honest with you. You have 3 good left-handed pitchers. If they're willing to pay to play, and it can help you make some really big moves on your team, if you could trade one of those guys, and Strahm's one of those guys, and get a decent return in him, and Randy Arozarena could be a return I wouldn't mind seeing in this case. Because I really do like Randy. I really do. I was pounding when that trade deadline was, he was up like, Philly should get him. Philly, and I still believe they should. Oh, let's see. How old is he now? He is 30. He's 30. Let me see his contract. Yeah, so 2024, 2025 with the Mariners. I want to see what his contract is because that could also play a factor into this. Sorry guys, my computer wasn't loading very fast. He is estimated to make $16 million a year this year, which isn't terrible from his position standpoint. It's more reasonable. He's arbitration, which is $11.3 million for this year. He's in 2027 becomes a free agent. Maybe you can sign him. I mean, he's 31 this year. I mean, he'll be 32, I guess. Right? Is that what I think? He's currently 31. Hold on one second. Jeez, why is this computer? Oh, February. Yeah. So in February he'll be 32. In February he'll be 32. So let's just look at 2025. He played 160 games, 613 at bats. He had 95 runs, 146 hits, 76 RBIs, 64 walks, 191 strikeouts, and a batting average of 238. So you could probably get it done for a pitcher. I don't know, it'd be a 1-for-1 trade. You might get a little bit more out of it. Maybe a prospect, low end pitcher. Maybe one of their low end left handers or something. But I wouldn't mind seeing Randy in the Phillies uniforms, to be honest with you. Let's look right here. I talked about Cody already. And then the other big name is Ketel Marte. Now, he's a second baseman. He would have to trade with the D-backs. He has a switch hitting presence, versatility in the lineup, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of good that comes with Ketel Marte. And you would probably have to trade Bryson with him, and Ketel is 32. So you're trading a young guy for 30. That would make it more interesting from that standpoint. But in 2025, he hit 283 with 28 home runs, 72 RBIs, 136 hits. He is a force at the plate, more than Bryson Stott would be probably. That I don't think that happens. I don't think the Phillies do it. I really don't, because of the age. And if you keep going, like, go get Cody, go get Ketel, go get all these guys that are in their 30s, you're gonna have your team is getting older, not younger in some ways. Listen, Ketel's an impact hitter. And that's a big thing. But I don't know. I know the Tigers are in on him. There's a lot of reasons to like him, but also people love him because he made us look stupid in 2023. That's how I look at it. The Sixers and Flyers have done their jobs in filling the interest gap when our other hopes falter. Yeah, we're going to talk on them in a minute. I'm going to jump on them in a minute, but I just want to touch on it. And then the other one is the Japanese player, Tatsui Amai. I think I'm saying that right. Ayami. Is they're showing a lot of potential, and he is. I talked about this a little while back, that he was a guy who kind of said he wants to go beat the Dodgers, and he doesn't want to go to a team that has a Japanese. It's almost like he's parading to come to Philly. I would love it. I think that would be a great change of pace, a change in the way they do things. So I think the only thing I can say to everybody in the chat right now and everybody listening is I think the Phillies are trying to make changes in their way they play. And maybe they finally had us get kicked in the teeth 10 times to figure it out, but we'll find out. So as Noom said, Sixers and Flyers are keeping ththings interesting. So this week, the Flyers had 2 games. They played the Penguins and the Buffalo Sabres. They lost to the Penguins in a 5-1 loss, but then beat the Sabres in a 5-2 win. So they can be a little back and forth, but they had 3 goals in that 5-2 game in 59 seconds. Is that crazy? Absolutely crazy. It's like historical. Some key injuries to look at. Cam York, upper body injury. I love that term. Against the Sabres, he's day to day. Tyson Forster was also injured during the Penguins game, and is to miss 2 to 3 months. So that's a little burn. I'm a big Tyson Forster guy. And then they are on a 6-game homestand. And hopefully using that momentum of the Buffalo game today, which they are playing the Avalanche today. So that is hopefully something of momentum that they can use. Now, here's a name that if I said, hey, bingo cards, did you think is going to be a big name in Flyers this year? Kevin Zegras, Flyers top performer so far 2025 and 2026. And now one of them, so in points, Trevor Zegras is leading the team at 26. In assists, he's tied with Konechny for 16. In goals, he's tied with Forrester, is now down for 2 to 3 months. In 10. Plus minus, you got Noah Cates with plus 10. And on ice per game, Travis Sanheim is at 25-16. So those are your top leading categories for your Flyers so far, taking this little glimpse back in, late October, November, and into December. So about 2 months-ish now so far into the Flyers early season, which people didn't have a lot of high hopes for, but I love good hockey. So, of course, I'm watching. Adam saying if the Phillies are to win in a win now mode, they could go for Bellinger and Marte, but if they are not, they should just keep Stott and stay young. Well, you kind of have to be in win now mode in my eyes. You really don't have much. Bryce is not getting any younger. Trey Turner's not getting any younger. I don't know if they're going to have their better years are going to be much better in front of them. Hopefully they stay close to the same, if not better, than they've had over the last few years. So here's some of your top players. So as I said, centerman Trevor Zegras was the big one. He's played 26 games. All these guys have played 26 games. 10 goals, 16 assists for the 26 points. Right behind him is Travis Konechny, your right winger, at 6 goals, 16 assists, and 22 points. Owen Tippett, the other right winger, he's 9 goals, 9 assists at 18 points. Matvey Michkov is at 8 goals, 8 assists for 16 points, who has come out some scrutiny based on his willing to play the game and being prepared in the offseason and all that. And Dorvac is 6 goals, 10 assists, and 16 total points. So those are your, right now leaders in the locker room. We have defensive reinforcements coming in Ali Bunk and Rasmus Ristolainen. Yeah, and I'm a big Bonk fan, so let's see how that plays out. They do it, and defensively, if they can add that into the core, I think the Flyers make the playoffs this year. I know it's a little early to say that, but I really do. I have a feeling that they get off that hump and we can finally get a little playoff hockey in Philly this year. I really do think they can. I like the route they're taking. I think the team's playing a little looser in some ways and happier in other ways. And I think Torts not being here has put a little less pressure, but at the same time, playing with some jam. So like I said, Zegras is the primary offensive driver so far this season. Since joining the team, of course, he has a 4-game point streak currently too, so maybe he can continue against the Avalanche. Of course, 10 goals scored in 21 games with Forrester, but his recent injury keeps him out 2 to 3 months. And on defense, Travis Sanheim leads the team average time per ice for his crucial defensive needs, as we noted, that will be added with Rasmus and Ali. So we'll see. So that's a little touch on the Flyers. We're going to talk a little of that quickly. I want to hit on the Sixers right now. In the last week, they're 3-1. They lost to Atlanta Hawks in a tough double overtime. Anybody watch that? 142 to 134. But then they've won against the Wizards, the Warriors, and the Bucks back Tuesday, Thursday, and of course most recently against the Bucks on Friday. Of course, the Joel Embiid saga continues. He returned from his 9-game absence on November 30th, but he hadn't played any back-to-back games against the Bucks. Of course, the Sixers got a fine of $100,000 because he was on the out. He was out until right like 30 minutes before the game in that double overtime loss against Atlanta, and they fined them for not really working that. Yeah, absolutely. Which is, two young teams, a lot of energy. That was absolutely what happened. News definitely ran out of gas. Let's see what you said. This could elevate the blue line. This isn't 2 years ago. Are different signs. Beating starting goalie, and back-to-back are two of them. Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll talk about the goalie thing a little maybe next episode. But yeah, no, absolutely. And Tyrese Maxey having AI-ish type performances. 44 points in that double overtime loss. And then the dramatic 1-point win over the Warriors. He had that big game-saving block. Not just his offense, but his defense played into that one. How about Quentin Grimes? He scored a team high of 22 points off the bench. A lot of guys are kind of wishy-washy about Quentin. Some people overly loved him. And how about Jabbar Walker? He had a double-double. He had 4 straight threes in that game. They are playing today against the Lakers. So you got that game going on today. Let's see what Dave says here. The Warriors game, they held on by 1 point thanks to Maxey's blocks in the game. Yep, just talked about that. That was a fun game to watch, man. Wasn't it, though, Dave? I mean, you have to admit, if you don't love the Sixers or you don't love basketball generally, it was just a fun game to watch. VJ and Grimes need to cut out the turnovers. They're killing me to watch some possessions. Yeah, that's the youth, especially with VJ. VJ needs a little polishing. I mean, everybody hit that really big game against Boston in the beginning of the season, and then he, kind of caught leveled out. But that's the youth in them. That's the inexperience in them. But yeah, they really need to work on the turnover game. That's a big problem. It's good to see PG on the floor. You can see the difference in the team. Yeah, listen, to be honest with you, Dave, I'm like whatever on PG and Joel Embiid. You can trade those two. Go right ahead. I would rather see this team just build on the youth around them and just make that change. I mean, you're not going to be able to trade Joel Embiid. Nobody's going to want him. Nobody's going to want to pay that ticket. But a PG maybe at the trade deadline, if anybody's showing interest, if you can get a little bit for him, I'd do it. Do it in a heartbeat. But that game-ending block was an all-time Sixers regular season defensive play. That's AIS type stuff. It just is. Small, undersized guard who can shoot the lights out, but also has that dog in him. Like that dog. Like if I have to block it, I'll block it. If I got to do it, I'll do it. I don't give a shit. I'm not caring if I'm not the tallest guy on the floor. I'll do it. And I just hope we're not wasting Maxey. That's my biggest fear with Maxey. Tyrese Maxey could be something, I think. And I think they finally figured out it's his show now. It's not the Joel Embiid show, and hopefully Joel Embiid continues to see that. But I think if they see that it's his show, Tyrese can be a force to be reckoned with. I just hope we're not wasting his youth and his abilities. That's really what I hope for. This team sorely does need PG's defense, but the podcast seems priority. Yeah, we've seen that before, right, Nooms? I think if you can trade for PG, you can make up defense somewhere else. But that's my point. Like if you can trade for him, maybe they give you a more defensive player, a couple defensive players. I don't know. I don't know what PG would trade would command at this point. I'm a Justin Edwards guy. I love his energy on the floor. Good point. But that's about it, guys. I wanted to touch on it. No Mikey today, of course. he has not been. He's been under the weather, been working his tail off for keeping your roads clean and repaired and all that stuff. So you've been watching Philly in the AM, and don't forget, if you haven't had enough of me, I'm filling in on Fridays now. So starting this Friday, coming up the 12th, I believe. Yep. 9 p.m. If you haven't had enough all day talking sports, listening about sports, watching sports, and you need somebody else to keep yelling at you and yell with you and yell at you and yell along the way and whatever it is you want to yell, Philly Friday Frenzy. That's right. Bringing it on. I'm going to keep it. We're going to talk everything. I'm going to talk a lot of Eagles and Phillies, but I'm definitely going to touch on the Sixers and the Flyers a little bit too. But, come join me for an inaugural show, and I would love to see you guys there. And that's about it. Oh, look at this. The Warriors game was held at 1 point, and thanks to me. Yeah, we got that one. Sorry. Hold on one second. I got to take this off the screen. Comments are not coming up the way they should be. Great show. Thank you. It pissed me off that no end that Edwards wasn't on the floor for the fourth quarter at the Warriors game. Yeah, no. Some head scratchers there. I'm not a huge Nick Nurse guy. You better let me know, Nooms. I would love to talk to you, Nooms. I would love this to talk to you. I've always commented along with you and talked back and forth via the comments. I would just like to have a back and forth vocal conversation with you, even if it's for 10, 15 minutes. You're a really knowledgeable dude. I'd like to have that at one point. So I know Maddie likes to open up the phone lines. I'm a little wishy-washy on that. I'll have to tell you guys a story one day. I don't know if I can tell it on the air the way things went down about why I'm not opening the phone lines generally the way he does, where you can't scrutinize the phone lines. So other than that, guys, we will talk. I will see you Friday night. Other than that, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Go Birds tomorrow. Beat those Chargers. Let's see if the Phillies start coming out swinging from the winter meetings start tomorrow. And you got the Flyers and Sixers both playing today. So if you're like me and you got 3 TVs, put them all on and enjoy it, my friend. Other than that, guys, the It's a Wrap Sports Network's got plenty going on today and the rest of the week. Check it all out. I went over with you earlier. If you haven't, go to the It's a Wrap Sports Network's Facebook page, YouTube page, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, they got it. Check us out when you can, if you can, and all that stuff. Al, I got to be honest, the Lions game still hurts, but I'm not giving up until it's officially over. I get it, Dave, and you're not out of it either. I mean, it definitely does. That the problem is when you have so many must-win games. That was a bit of a gauntlet for you. You had to play the Eagles and Chiefs on short weeks, and then you had to come back and play another Thursday night game against a Lions team who had their backs against the wall, who really did figure out some offensive issues. I mean, you guys got top-tier offensive, and your Dallas Cowboys problems showed again. You have a really good offense who can score at will, but you have a defense who is just downright crap. Yeah. It's the 2019 NFC least. Yeah, it is. I mean, like I just said earlier, I don't know if you guys were here for it. The Giants are officially out of it. The Commanders are one loss away from being officially out of it. They would need a lot to go their way for it to happen. They're at like less than 1% chance, but they would need a lot. So they're pretty much out of it. If the Cowboys lose another game and the Eagles just go ahead and win Monday, it's kind of a hard sell for the Cowboys to win the division, and then they would have to. Right now, they're staring in, so they have to win the division. I think at this point, 4 games in the last 16 days, yeah, absolutely, and they won 3-1, which you got to be happy with. I mean, Dave, you got to be happy with. But unfortunately, the Cowboys put themselves in a really bad way, and if you look at the games that they played, they put up a lot of points, but they gave up way more. It's that plus minus that plays a huge factor in it. And I give the Cowboys a little credit for like that 4-game stretch. That's hard for anybody to do, especially when you're playing for your life. But this is the problem. That's the problem when you're playing for your life. You have zero room for error, and they erred. I can't say I didn't enjoy it though, Dave. I gotta be honest with you. I hate the Cowboys, right? I hate them. Hate their faces. I like you, Dave. Hate the Cowboys. So, with that being said, guys, enjoy your Sunday. I will talk to you guys soon. Go Birds. Let's see what the Phillies do. And Flyers and Sixers action tonight. So let's keep it going.